Good morning, basketball fans, and welcome to the Upstate Hoops Podcast on Finger Lakes One TV. I'm Jim Sinicropi. I'll be joined by my co-host, 1992 New York State Small Schools Player of the Year, Matt Verkey, along with Mike Alessio. We got a big show on tap. We'll recap all the action, including the quadruple-header at NYCC and Seneca Falls yesterday. We'll give our preseason Player of the Year and our all-Wayne Finger Lakes teams and our Week 1 power rankings. Straight ahead, it's the Upstate Hoops Podcast. All right, fellas, good morning. It's another edition of Upstate Hoops. It feels like we spent a lot of time together in the past 24 hours with a quadruple header at NYC FL1 Sports. Never done a quadruple header before. Verk and Mike, you guys called the first two games of the day. And before we get into this, just I want to hear one big takeaway from both you guys on the day yesterday.
Oh, it was an interesting day. Teams opening up their first game. I think I come away with I was most impressed with North Rose Wolcott. I think, they played a Geneva team plays a lot of guys, and they play a pressing defense. And, I thought North Rose was the most impressive team over there yesterday. And Tyler Norris, I was really impressed with. I don't think North Rose played great, but, they still handled Geneva all game. And, I thought Tyler Norris did a lot of nice things, rebounding, assists. We've talked about him before. He does a lot of things. Got great height at the point position. And, you just look at them and, they all look the same. They're all 6'2", 6'3", it seems like. And, they run and jump. They're athletic and well coached. So, that my take was how well North Rose, I think how good they're going to be this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And with Tyler Norris head and shoulders above the rest, and even he didn't have an incredible game, but you can tell when you see certain players who has a talent to really be that special player, and that was him for sure. And the other thing that I think you got to remember is, we follow a lot of basketball and college sports, and it's tough to get things going after only a couple weeks of practice for these high school kids that you wonder when you watch a college team that, they're a little more seasoned in those first games, and there's a lot of rust to shake out. These kids are coming after playing football and soccer. Most of them are three-sport athletes. A lot of them are three-sport athletes. So it takes it's tough to get a team together, and I think that's the thing that stood out about North Rose is they just had way more chemistry than anybody else we saw, even a talented team, individual talented team like Minders, there wasn't as much chemistry in there. So it's a good reminder that you never know what's going to come down the road in a month based off of these first games.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about basketball, high school basketball especially. It's more than just the talent; it's the chemistry, it's the team, it's putting the effort in, it's attitude. So you never. And this year, maybe harder than most to kind of predict the outcomes of which teams are going to make runs in sectionals and which teams are going to win these leagues. So it's a real exciting for us, and we're going to talk about it all for about the next hour or so. The Upstate Hoops Podcast brought to you by Generations Bank with locations in Auburn, Farmington, Geneva, Phelps, Seneca Falls, Union Springs, and Waterloo. Check out their mobile banking app and visit them online at mygenbank.com. And by FLCC, thinking about life after high school, get your degree at Finger Lakes Community College. And by Dr. Rod Littlejohn, delivering over 30 years of smiles with style. So another thing we're going to do today is we're going to play the player interviews from yesterday. It's always great to get kids in the broadcast booth after the game and get to talk to them. Both of the Bachman Lowe interview. We talked to the kids from North Rose, Norris and Hoyt, and Darren Carswell, and Jake Jones, who had a great game for Minders last night. So
the other thing that was great yesterday was a great crowd.
Yeah. Especially in the evening session.
Yeah. We're talking to Rhett Taccone. He's already planning for next year. He said, I got to get more bleachers here. He doesn't want to do both sides.
They might have to.
Well, he's definitely going to have to.
Yeah. It was a great atmosphere to kick off the season, and very challenging for us to do the 4 games. A lot of people don't understand. what goes into it to just do one game. And so when you throw 4 in a row, it's just a lot of prep and a lot of hustling, around in between the games, and a really long day. We split up our broadcast team, and but some of us were there all day long. And
Great job.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Good way to start the season. Minder's number 1 in our power rankings. I think they'll stay there this week. They did beat Clyde. We'll find out at the end of the show. So much talent. Really impressed with the sophomores that came up.
Yeah.
Kellen Caraher and Devin Anderson. And really their depth throughout the roster. And this is one thing, and it wasn't just Minders. Mid-Lakes had a nice win, and they had a really talented sophomore point guard, Bryce Burry. But a lot of kids running their mouths at officials, at other teams' benches, just kind of acting out. And what I want to say before we even get into the season is, I don't know if part of that's because the cameras are on and they think they're, putting on a show or something, but none of you kids are that good. You're going to go somewhere along the line in your basketball career, and you're going to play somebody that's 5 times better than you. You have no business, kind of acting that way, I think. And it's one of the disappointing parts of yesterday was just seeing how some of the players, and we don't want to act out. You can watch the webcast and you can of the games, and you can see some of this stuff happening. But just want to tell these kids, look, play the game, keep your head down, let your game do the talking, because you're embarrassing yourself. Number 1, you're embarrassing your team and your school and your community. So I don't know if you guys have a take on that.
My take would be just play. It's disappointing to see some of that. And it wasn't every game, but you did see it. And like you said, if you watch it, you can see what's going on. But I'm kind of grew up with my dad being athletic director, and when I played, we had a great team, and we never did that. And if we did, we got put in our place.
Right.
I don't care if I had 45 points. If I did anything that would show up my coach or anything like that, Coach Smith, he'd call me aside.
You'd hear it from your coach and your father.
Well, yeah, more from especially from my dad. I remember being in high school and playing football. I had a nice touchdown run. I got the 5-yard line, put the ball up in the air before I crossed the end zone. He said, first thing he said, I ran for 2 touchdowns, threw for 2 touchdowns. First thing he said after the game was, don't ever do that again. Not a good game or anything like that. But just play the game, and people are talented. If you're good enough, people will notice you. There's no need to you block a shot. Act like you've done it before. You get a rebound or you get an and one. Just play the game. Because when you run your mouth constantly, the refs are going to pick up on it, and you're going to get labeled, and you're never going to get a call. It's the discipline's got to come from the top, and some of that needs to be cleaned up. And overall, it was a great day. But my take on that is just play. If you're a player, play hard, every possession. And go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's they're kids, and that it doesn't give them the right to do that. But I think the coaching staffs have to address behaviors as much as they do talent and drills and everything else, because in the end, it's not just about what goes on in the basketball court. There, you're young, you're developing the behaviors and habits that you're going to carry on throughout your life, and you need to understand the consequences that come along with those behaviors, which can be hurting the team. Verk, as you said, you're going to get labeled immediately if you're not already, especially if you're, let's say a younger kid just coming onto the scene who already displays those sort of behaviors, that it's going to hurt you in the long run or even within the same game. So, you hate to see it. The other thing is, some of the games I watch, and it almost makes you anxious sometimes when you see somebody.
Yeah, you get embarrassed yourself a little bit.
For a team that you're not even associated with. And I say, and sometimes you say, how could that coach let that happen? But, sometimes you're not on the inside to see that sometimes a player takes on a persona on the court and could be the nicest kid in the world off the court. Now, it doesn't give him the right to have that persona, but it might be a little easier to swallow or understand, oh, that's just him, or he's a great kid and a great family. And
Yeah, but, Mike, you could relate, like life lessons, how you work hard on the court, coaches, if these kids want to play in college, but college coach sees that going on, they're not even going to look at you. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're going to, there's not that anybody's looking to play college ball from these teams or anything like that, but you're representing your school, your town, and you need to go out and play the game. And if you do that, the recognition will come that the kids want, and you roll up a bunch of W's and play the game right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that being said, let's kind of talk about some of the action. The first game, South Seneca against Southern Cuga. And, boy, South Seneca shot the lights out. But
Southern
Cuga shot the lights out. South Seneca, though, looks improved. And when they get into league play, tough to tell if they would contend for the title against, some of these teams like Naples or Bloomfield or Dundee. But I think they're definitely going to be in the mix of that upper half.
I think so, and I was really impressed with Southern Cuga. Not knowing what to expect from them, they came out, on fire. Though, they had, Conklin and Wyman. One had 18, one had 17 at halftime. They made 7 or 8 threes and kind of buried South Seneca early. From that point on, South Seneca played with them. And Barretto. Southern Cuga's got a pretty decent team. I would imagine they're going to do well in that small school league that they play in.
Yeah, I can't imagine that league has talent like that.
And and South Seneca had some nice pieces. I thought the big guy for them, Marshall Warden, did some nice things. Bachman Lowe had his 18 points and rebounds. He's somebody who's going to be, he might be one of the better players in the West, I think, this year. I expect big things from him. They got some nice pieces. They got some athletes. Bachman Lowe kind of has to handle the point out of necessity. Yeah. They're not real deep, but they got some nice pieces, and I think they're going to do all right in the West.
Well, let's hear from Bachman Lowe right now, who sat in with Mike and the dog, Harold Weber, after the loss yesterday. A really great conversation here. We'll play it back for you now.
We're glad to have a young man from the South Seneca Falcons joining us here at the broadcast table. And we'd like to say hi to Lincoln Bachman Lowe. Lincoln, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Lincoln, talk about the preparation going into the first game. You probably didn't know much about the Chiefs, did you, as far as the opposition?
Actually, we played them over the summer at the CCC Summer League in Auburn. So we had a little bit of an idea. We knew they were going to be high pressure on defense. We knew they were going to shoot the ball. They were faster than us. But
they were on fire.
We really weren't ready for them in the first quarter. We came out. I don't think we played good enough defense out. We should have had hands in the faces of the shooters when they were out in the three-point range.
Well, Mike, we talked about it during the broadcast. Conklin was on fire, just amazing, number 20 for their team, and also the gentleman also had some hot points there too, Mike. They were just a combination.
Lineman.
They were just on fire.
Had they shot the ball that well when you played them over the summer?
No, they really didn't.
I was curious.
No. They actually ran the court a lot. They played a different style over the summer, so it was kind of hard to judge it based on this game.
So for your first game out there, you're stepping into a greater leadership role. What do you take away from the game? How'd you feel out there? You got off to a great start. That had to make a difference early on.
Yeah, for me, I just go out every game, try to play hard, but some of the guys that are a little younger haven't had as much varsity experience, so we're trying to integrate them into the team and really get them in the mix and start to get them comfortable as well.
It seemed to be a lot of substitutions.
Yeah. We're trying to figure out which group of kids can really get us the best output.
By the way, we have you down for 18 points, so you seem to be in a lot of places at one time, rebounding and trying to move it down the court. And I think really was the turning point, to me anyways, broadcasting the game. Wyman had 26 for their team, Conklin with 21. Those are amazing, 47 between two. And I guess when practice resumes next week or whenever that starts for you, you're probably going to be speaking about some more D, right?
Yeah, for sure.
As far as your game goes, what do you feel most comfortable or confident doing? Early on, your points came off of slashing in the lane. You have great jumping ability. That's obvious. Is that something you draw on, or do you feel more comfortable, or do you like stepping back and taking a three or some outside shots?
Well, I finally got one to fall later in the game, and that certainly felt good after shooting, I think, 2 and missing. So that felt good to shoot. But really, I try to make everything part of my game. I try to not really focus on one thing. Like a player who dunks, really all that's on their mind is trying to dunk that ball. So I try to integrate everything. I don't want to be one-minded.
Now, you're obviously a fine basketball player. What other sports are you involved in that you really enjoy doing?
I played soccer in the fall, actually the last 2 years, and I've been a 4-year track runner as well.
What events in track?
The pentathlon.
Oh,
okay, wow.
All-around athlete.
Let's talk about your studies at the school. What do you like learning, or what is your favorite subject or subjects?
I like the sciences and the maths.
Okay.
Hopefully looking to go to college for something engineering-wise.
That's good.
That's
good. That's good.
How do you like playing for Coach Lant?
I love him.
Yeah.
He's been my coach since 4th grade, biddy ball.
Wow.
He's like a second dad to me. I couldn't ask for a better coach.
He's a great guy. And I know he's looking forward to this year. He speaks highly of you. I know I have to pat you on the back. It would have been very easy to cave in on that game. I noticed there was only a couple minutes left. You obviously weren't going to come back and win, but you personally, you were out there
trying to hustle,
patting some guys on the back, giving some high fives, and don't think that doesn't go unnoticed.
For sure.
So that's great that you do that.
I mean, down 18 in the first quarter, end up losing by 16. We won the last 3 quarters.
Exactly.
That's a plus. Attitude. That's a plus for me. I like being on a team with a lot of underclassmen. I like that. I like that we were able to come back and kind of play harder and not let them really just run up the score as much.
Knowing your schedule and who you play, now will you face teams at that caliber, do you think, or will that be maybe one of the tougher teams you face?
Well, we scrimmaged Minders as well before our game, and they shot the lights out against us as well. I don't think there are going to be a lot of teams in the West that shoot the ball that well. I know Bloomfield does shoot the ball pretty well. And Naples will shoot pretty well. Dundee always has some shooters.
So we're going to see a better year than last year.
For sure. Yeah. I think we have the potential to be a top 3 team in the West.
Good.
I really do.
That's good.
Well, listen, my friend, we appreciate you taking some time out after a tough loss, but I know that you're keeping your head up, and you've been great to talk to. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Nice shot.
All right, young man, Lincoln Bachman-Lowe.
Great interview, great kid, Lincoln Bachman-Lowe for South Seneca. Dan Lett's team will be getting them 2 times this year against Bloomfield and Naples at the Jack Guinan, so we'll look forward to that. And moving ahead to the second game of the day, North Rose Wolcott against Geneva, and we were really excited for this one. Geneva has a transfer point guard from Bishop Kearney, sophomore. Marquand Ross coming back, and really a deep, pretty talented group of kids. And North Rose Wolcott, more seasoned, experienced. They went to the Blue Cross last year. Might have the best player in the Wayne Finger Lakes and Tyler Norris. You throw in Garrett Hoyt and Connor Pendleton and Luke Gersner. Really play well as a team, and, of course, great coach in Brian Hoyt, Garrett's dad. Another game you guys called. Is North Rose every bit as good as we thought they'd be?
Yeah, I think they got a lot of nice pieces. They're, they don't blow you away when you watch them play by any means, but I think they get the job done. And talking to Coach Hoyt, he wants to get out and run with his team. Pendleton's a super athlete, like super soccer player, and he can get up and down the court. Obviously, Norris gets up and down. Hoyt runs the floor well, and they play well together. You don't see a lot of very unselfish. They'll make the extra pass. Hoyt inside made a lot. He could have finished a couple. He gave it up. Very unselfish team, and I think they're just seasoned right now. They're, talking to Coach Hoyt before the game, he's like, I wish this game was 2 weeks later, but I think it played to his advantage because they've been together for 2-3 years now, and
every coach was saying that.
Sure, and and Geneva was. Their struggles are still going to be offensively. They just can't throw the ball in the bucket. Throw the ball in the basket. I
think they'll be hot and cold. I think some games they will shoot good.
Marquand Ross was in some foul trouble and didn't really shoot the ball that well. I think he kind of settles for 3 sometimes. I'd like to see him take it to the hole a little bit more and use his athletic ability. But they brought 10, 11 kids at you, and they're going to cause problems for people this year. Especially once they get the offense down, and they had a rough shooting night, but
and they were in the game.
Yeah,
late. There was I can't remember. I think it was down to 6 somewhere around there, or 8 with the possession. That I don't think they ever, even if they closed it down a little bit, would have won. But based on just athleticism, they were still in the game. The point guard transfer, he's a solid point guard. He only shot the ball I think once from outside, so I don't know what he can do from there. But he's got a nice point, big body that he could. If he starts driving a little bit, he can do some damage, and then it's just doing some smarter things, I think. As Coach Miller told us in the interview we did with him at the beginning, he doesn't know what to expect, and they just need to be smarter. Ross in foul trouble, and 2 of them were just stupid fouls. His 4th and one early in the second half. He had 2 in the first half and picked up an early foul they don't have a real big man, so when he's out of the game, they're going to lose a lot. So North Rose, they didn't play that great. Hoyt didn't have a great game, but you can just tell that they'll be a solid team.
Yeah, and Tyler Norris, I think, was the most impressive when you just look at the way he moves, the way he shoots free throws even. Just such a great
quick
stroke, very smooth,
big step,
tall, left-handed, which helps confuse the defenders. Really impressed with North Rose-Wolcott, and in a way I was also equally impressed with Geneva. I think they'll have a better year this year than they did last year. Very disappointing year last year. Brian Miller's got a lot of pieces. His challenge, I think, is just to get these kids to buy into the system the way his team did 2 years ago. 2 years ago they won the sectional title in A2. So
they lost 6 in a row to start the year off last year. In their schedule to start this year, I was looking at as tough as well. I'm not quite sure what Victor's next, I remember, and I'm not quite sure what they have. I'm sure they'll be improved every year with a Downey,
Coach Downey
over there building the program. But then they play Livonia and Minder, so I know Livonia loses at least that good guard they had, and then Minder. So
tough start.
It's a tough start.
Yeah, and we'll be there for that Minders Geneva game too on Wednesday the 8th of December. It's a boys-girls doubleheader. We sat down, or Harold Weber sat down with Tyler Norris and Garrett Hoyt after the win yesterday. A great talk, couple of great kids. We'll play that back for you now.
Got a couple of fine players joining me here at the broadcast table, and of course the first game found the Southern Cayuga Chiefs besting South Seneca Falcons 69-53. And a game just completed, North Rose-Wolcott Cougars 63-49 over to Geneva High Panthers. To my left, Garrett Hoyt, and to my right, Tyler Norris. Gentlemen, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, thank you.
Let's start, Garrett, with yourself. How'd you think the game went? Ebb and flow. I had not seen you guys last year when our broadcast on Finger Lakes won. I was not able to make the game. I'd heard you guys were going to be tough this year, and you lived up to my expectations. You guys played pretty flawless basketball.
Thanks. We played extremely well today. Geneva's very good, and I thought holding them to 49 points and 22 at the half, we did a very good job.
You saw Geneva. They lost a lot through graduation, as schools obviously do. But, it seemed like you guys would allow them to get back into it, maybe 6-8 out. But Tyler, all of a sudden, you guys would do a 4-0 or 6-0 run, and good night, Irene. You'd go back to double digits.
Yeah, they play quick, and we knew that we didn't want to let them get too close because, we might have some trouble if they get too close with how quick they get up the floor, and it was good that we kept that comfortable lead.
Now, leading I'm sure the papers are going to announce that when the Finger Lakes Times does their preseason wrap-up, looking at all the teams. I've heard during the last several weeks about watch out for the Cougars and North Rose-Wolcott. It's their year. You guys are going to make a signature statement. Do you think about that? Or I know it's hard to get yourself pumped up to think about the media saying you're going to be good. You got to go out and prove it every night.
Yeah.
Is that the attitude you're taking?
Yeah, we know that we have a pretty good team, and everyone. Wayne County's always good. Like Clyde's good, Lyon's good. We got to play every day. Like every night, we have to come out and play the best because we can lose. We're not undefeated. Well, we're not amazing. Like we have some holes in our team, but we try to play well enough.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And I would say, as nice as it is to be the top dog, it puts a little pressure on you because we've never been in this position before, and we've always kind of felt that underdog. But we definitely feel the pressure, and hopefully we can live up to the standards too, and come out, play hard every night, and hopefully add another win to our record each night.
Garrett, you're the son of the coach.
Yeah.
How does that work out? Any arguments at home? Can you tell us the truth on Finger Lakes 1?
We not at home because it's usually during practice, so we don't talk to each other at home.
I thought maybe over having meatloaf or salad or something like that, you might have a comment to Dad.
A lot of quiet dinners.
Depends how you're playing, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say it's got to be tough. You always want to meet the expectations of your parents, but it's got to be tough, especially if you have a bad game.
Yeah.
And look across, see good old Dad there.
Yeah. Today, I didn't think I played particularly well, but Elijah Durham, the big man, stepped up, had 16 points, and when we go into games, not everyone's going to be, oh yeah, Elijah Durham, that's who we got to stop. Jake Stevenson, Elijah took Jake Stevenson's spot, and hopefully he can run with that.
Yeah, and everyone looks at who puts the ball in the hoop, but really the big difference maker for us is our defense and how well we play help defense, and the little dirty work is the game changer, really. So.
Well, Tyler, I've been doing basketball games on the radio. Now I obviously do it on the internet. But I got to give you credit, having never met you before. Your form is phenomenal. You glide to the basket, and your free throw form is second to none that I've seen. You've obviously worked on that for many years.
I have, yeah. I've been playing since third grade. My dad is a youth basketball coach, and that's a big help when you get started young. A lot of credit to my dad because, he taught me when I was young my form and just try to run with it, So I appreciate that, and I'll still keep working on it. You can always get better.
Garrett Hoyt, along with Tyler Norris, joining us here on the post-game show. A couple of quick questions. Who's your favorite college basketball team?
I would have to say Syracuse, but my dad's an alumni from Cornell, Big Red, so I keep track of them too. So.
How about you, Garrett?
Syracuse.
Syracuse. I tell you what, they look pretty good beating Connecticut
and
Texas A&M. So, you guys follow college football?
A little bit. Not as much as basketball, but a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Well, guys, thanks for spending some time in the post game for us. Continued success.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Continued success and good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
Garrett Hoyt along with the likes of Tyler Norris joining us here on the post.
Good interview there with the dog. A couple of great kids on a great team that we're going to be talking a lot about this winter. And they're in the same classification as Minders this year. And should be interesting come postseason time. They're going to be a factor in the mix.
Yeah, them and RCMCS, we talked about them returning a lot of guys. A team that Lions played a great game against and beat last year. They bumped RCMCS into B2 as well. So, 3 strong teams right there, and I'm sure there's a couple other ones that will come on as the year progresses.
So, heading into the nightcap at NYCC, it was Mid-Lakes Lions, probably the game with the most storylines. Lions going to the Final Four last year. They heading into this game, they had won 16 of their last 18. One of the losses being in the Final Four at Glens Falls to Waterville. And, of course, new look roster. Damon Hunter gone, Derek Farrah gone, the big teddy bear PA gone. But still some great pieces there in Lions. But another guy missing was Darren Carswell, who transferred over to Mid-Lakes. I say transfer, the situation with a family moving, I'm not sure. But he's playing on Mid-Lakes. I guess he was originally from that community.
Yeah.
But a huge loss for Zach Young, and Carswell showed why yesterday. May have been the difference, pulling down 15 big rebounds. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from yesterday is that Mid-Lakes might be very good. How good, it's tough to tell. Good enough to compete in the East, I don't know about that. But I certainly can't count them out. It's going to be interesting when they get into league play to see how these guys do. Did you guys, Mike, I know you watched a lot of that game.
Yeah, I watched from the sidelines, and DeVay didn't have a great game. I think that, that might have been the difference between Lions being able to hang around. But Mid-Lakes look pretty good. Lions they're just athletic. So, they're moving a lot of guys in and out, and they just were able to hang in there. the sophomore for point guard for Mid Lakes showed some great talent.
Bryce Burry.
Yeah.
Didn't shoot particularly well yesterday, but you can tell. I think it might have been more so just an off game, but he's got great vision, made some great passes. I'm sure we have on tape. And then I'm always drawn to the freshman on Lions. That's just a lot of pressure.
Justice Smith, my new favorite player.
Your new favorite player.
So under control.
As a freshman.
Yeah, so smooth, willing to take on the big shots.
Right from the get, scored the first basket of the game, at least for Lions. I can't remember if they were down or not, and certainly at his career. But, boy, that's just a lot of pressure for a kid coming in who I remember I was watching in modified 2 years ago, and now you're in the center stage. So, I was impressed with both teams. I think Mid Lakes didn't play particularly well, but they do have some talent.
Yeah. And Kenny DeVay, one of the senior leaders of that team, Coach Zach Young in his zone was just collapsing on him.
Yeah.
And so while he didn't put up the points, he did stay very composed and found his teammates.
Yeah.
LaPaglia had a nice game for Mid Lakes. And as we mentioned, Darren Carswell, 15 big rebounds against his former mates. And
he's a strong kid. Boy, what a body.
And he sat down with Kevin Korzaneski and Brad Connor after the game, and let's hear a little bit of that conversation.
Connor and Darren Carswell, the Lions transfer, who played a great game tonight. I thought, Darren, I think you were in the low teens for scoring, maybe 11 to 12 unofficially, but Coach Young said before the game you're the best rebounder he's ever coached. So you really got a lot of big rebounds in the second half, as you did last year when you played for Lions, to help seal the victory. What's it mean to you to come back and a year out of what was just a memorable season, to come back and play against your teammates?
It was really fun to play against my old friends and all that, and it was just very exciting that we got the W, and couldn't be happier with the way the team played stuff. Was
this game a little extra special to you going against Lions, or was it nerve-wracking? I mean, what were the emotions when you found out you had to play them?
I was excited. I was very ready from the get-go. Looking forward to playing with my old friends and stuff. Like you said, we came off a very good season last year, and I was blessed to be a part of that team, and it was just fun playing those guys again.
Darren, how much did Coach Circus lean on you as far as intelligence on what Lions was trying to do and some of the personnel on that side?
He just said to go out there and give it all. I got every play, and just play hard and don't let the emotions get to me.
Yeah, I think that's important to understand. I mean, you're 16 years old, and there's a lot of emotion involved with your friends on one side, and you got to mesh with new guys on this side. And I thought some of your teammates played great today. Is that transition going well with the new guys?
Oh yeah, it's been great. From day one, they welcomed me. They were very excited to hear that I was coming. And just looking forward to a good season with these guys. Hopefully we can make some noise in sectionals and the league.
Yeah, I mean, normally Mid Lakes has been on the lower end of the Finger Lakes East, and we at Finger Lakes 1 have you down there. But after watching tonight, I was impressed. Bryce Burry came out lights on fire. We were joking coming in that, he talks a little bit, and, it's kind of who he is and probably fuels him. Mm-hmm. And then great game by Matt LaPaglia. He was doing everything, and DeVay inside, outside. What a great passer he is.
Oh, yes. Both Matt and Ken DeVay, very good leaders, and glad to have them on the team. Makes it a lot easier for all the other guys. And, yeah, Bryce played well tonight, shot the ball well. He does run his mouth quite a bit.
Yeah, but maybe you guys need that because towards the end you weren't making your foul shots, and you weren't really I talked about it. It's hard to learn to win. At Lions you're used to winning, so it comes easy. But when you're at Mid Lakes, you got to learn that, and maybe that energy that Bryce provides with his talking maybe might help you guys out early on.
It definitely does. It hypes the boys up. I mean, he was pumped when he found out we were playing Lions, especially me being from there.
Yeah,
it was just good. All the guys were excited, and we were just nice to come on with the W.
Now, I do got one question for you. I don't know if you answered, but did it seem to me that Coach Young was trying to get you on the foul line at the end of the game?
Oh yeah.
Why is that?
Because Even last year, I was a bad free throw shooter. Just something I definitely need to work on.
He knows you well. You know, he was looking for a little elbow on offense, which he got called for. I remember a couple of games where he was like leaning in a little bit, and I didn't understand the foul shooting until I heard him yell, "Foul, Darren!" You know, and I saw you laughing out there.
And then you would have knocked one down at the end anyway for him.
Yeah, you guys struggled at the line a little bit, but then you stepped up and knocked down your first one, which was a big free throw. It made it a 3-possession game, and so you know, it's nice that, you know, you seem like you have a good relationship with Coach Young, and you guys can kind of joke around about that. And you know, he's a great coach. You got Coach Zirkus does a great job as well. So you've been blessed with a couple good coaches.
Darren, I really like what you guys were doing against the zone. It looked like you spent some time at the high post, really trying to work the ball from the high post, a little high-low, and you know, kickouts and getting good looks out that way. And was that something that you guys really focused on against that zone?
Yeah, we knew they would probably run a zone because we have size on them, and Coach just said just be smart with the ball, catch the high post, and make good decisions. Don't hold. He told us not to hold the reaches to us to swing the ball around.
Yeah, you guys very unselfish, great passing team.
And we're holding on to it too long to encourage a double team, really moving it quickly.
All right, now we're running out of time here, so I'm going to leave you, really hit you on the spot. We got Minders and Clyde out here warming up. You know both these teams very well. Okay, Clyde's in your league, and Minders, you know, you guys play a lot in scrimmage. I want what your score prediction might be.
I'm going to say 61 to 45, Minders over Clyde.
15-point win.
Yeah,
I might be with you on that one. All right, Darren, well, listen, you look good in light blue. You know, I know there's a lot of Lions people watching that don't think so, agree with me, but I think it was great shade for you. And on behalf of Finger Lakes 1, we thought you played great, and congratulations on your first win with your new school, and we wish you the best of luck this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Good win tonight.
Thank you, sir.
So there you go. Darren Carswell wearing a different jersey this year. Good, well-spoken kid and a huge addiction to Pete Zirkus's team. So that brings us to the nightcap. Clyde, Minders number 1 in our preseason power rankings. Clyde 8. Trying to see if Clyde has what it takes to compete at the top of the Wayne County this year after a little bit of a down year last year. Minders, we want to see. We know, because we're all from Seneca Falls, and Mike, you even help out on the staff. We wanted to see if they could put it all together with all this talent and depth. And, you know, we saw a lot of good things, but a lot of things that need work. I don't know what your takeaway was on the Blue Devils.
You know, I thought the game was a little sloppy on both ends. You know, Clyde really struggled early on shooting the ball. They had some open looks, and the threes just didn't drop for them. I think Minders opened up a 14, 15-point lead at one point. But Clyde, you know, scratched and crawled, and, you know, they got back into the game. And, you know, went into halftime, I think, down 2 or tied or down 2.
25-25 maybe at half,
25-23, something like that. But anyway, you know, Clyde made a nice little run, and you know, I like that feistiness that they showed. And then Minders, you know, Minders is a better team than Clyde. And you know, I don't think either team played particularly well. You know, Minders has got to do a better job. Their bigs got to finish a little bit better around the basket. You know, they did get the ball inside a little bit in the second half, and the bigs got to finish. You know, Clyde's not particularly big. You know, and Minders played well. Jake Jones, you know, obviously he led them in scoring with 16 points, made some nice steals, some nice anticipation, stole a couple of inbounds passes. I thought Brett Anderson had a nice game, you know, especially in the first half. Got him some scoring, kind of got him going early. You know, and then Kellen Carher coming off the bench, you know, he gives him a little spark. He's a great ball handler, tough kid. Devin Anderson gives him great spark off the bench. You know, those 2 sophomores are going to be key for them. They're going to play defense. They're going to rebound. You know, they do all the little things. And, you know, it gives Coach Ciotti an option. And, you know, I think with Carher, I think he shot a few too many threes. They weren't dropping for him, but he can get to the hole. He's great at going off the dribble. I'd like to see him penetrate a little bit more. And Devin Anderson can really shoot the ball. You know, I know he hit at least 1 3 yesterday. And, you know, I look for him once he gets a little bit more comfortable. You know, it's the first varsity game for those kids. Yeah. So they're just kind of finding their way. But, you know, overall, you know, you could say Minders didn't play particularly well, but they beat Clyde by 12, you know, first game of the year. And, you know, we'll take that. You know, Mean was in foul trouble throughout the game. Didn't really see a whole lot from him. You know, Carfola had a nice game, 14 rebounds, you know, and which is – I just think they need a little bit more scoring from their bigs. And, you know, but they got nice depth. You know, they got a lot of nice pieces. But those kids need to realize, you know, you're talented. We got to come out and play. You got to execute. nothing was smooth. It was kind of just ragged the whole game,
Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
You know what it reminded me of? Syracuse. They just kind of let them hang around, and they're a little sloppy, and then the more talent just kind of opened it up down at the end. That kind of game, but I don't think it's they played sloppy. Again, I think it's a sign of it's going to take this team a while to get it together and to figure it out from what teams, what combinations they're putting out there together, and how they're going to find their identity and what they're going to do, if it's going to be man, zone, press, go down low. There's just I don't think it's that they'll be overrated. I think they can develop into, what we see them as top of that power ranking, right now.
I think, a big thing for them is, these guys have been together now. They basically returned their whole team from last year. They've played, 20-something games together. They lost Liam Carher, who was a good scorer for them last year and was able to do some different things for him, shooting the three, getting to the hole. But, you got two sophomores, his brother Kellen and Anderson. Devin Anderson, who can replace that, but they need a leader. They need somebody to take control. You don't just pull the ball out, run offense. They just got to be a little bit crisper because they're not going to win on talent alone this year. They can go 17-3 again based on their talent, but when they run into North Rose or RCMCS and come sectional time, that's when they're going to have to be fundamental. They got to do the little things, which I didn't see that from these guys. And we're big. Got a ton of pieces, and it's just you got to put it all together and just play hard and worry about the game and not worry about who's scoring and if they
who's
can,
in the stands, what the ref makes a bad call.
If you can, if you're worried about your own stats, it hurts your team. You want those guys on the other team who are worried about their stats or what's going on, because these guys, like you said, I don't know if they have a first team all league player on this team, but they might have 7 guys who are second or third team. You know what I mean? Like they have a nice collection, and if they can lose the me attitude and just get it together and play with each other and like each other,
go a long way.
They just got to get that cohesiveness going.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, Clyde, we were interested to see what they had coming back, and I think this is a team that will get better as the season goes on. They were without a couple players due to injury, Ramos and Uholtz, but Derek Chance, a very athletic point guard. Maybe we put a little too much pressure on the kid, expecting him to do too much. Just a sophomore still, probably maybe the best athlete we saw all day long.
Yeah, he's quick. And a lot of these kids, Clyde went deep in the sectionals this year, and they're still getting their basketball legs under them. They played football right up until they only got a couple weeks in, and Coach Jackson was talking about that. Some kids are still nicked up from the football season, but I look for this team to improve throughout the year. Carnevale came in for them. His dad was a great athlete for
shooter,
Clyde,
man.
And if you give him time, he's going to knock it down. He had 14 points.
What year is he in?
I think he's a sophomore.
I think he's a sophomore, yeah. Maybe a junior.
He looks young.
I think he's a sophomore.
But, Clyde they don't shoot it well. Fanil is a great football player, great athlete, and he shot a lot of threes. He made a couple.
Got
but
some rebounds.
They just need to, they're not big, and they don't shoot it great from the outside, so you're kind of, they're going to rely on getting to the hole and finishing and, let Chance create and find some guys. But, they're going to get better. They're going to defend. Like I said, they scrapped against Miners and went in tied at halftime. And, Miners is a good team in the East, so, they're going to get some wins in Wayne County.
Yeah, that could have been one of the toughest games they'll have all season, along with North Rose Wolcott games. Real quick, Jake Jones, great game. Let's hear from him in his post-game comments.
Cass Booth. Jake Jones with a career-high 16 points in the win. Jake, great game. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And, we've watched you develop over the years. Looks like you grew a couple inches in the offseason.
Yep.
And, really impressed with your composure out there in the opening game. He seemed under control.
Yeah, not 100% of the time, but, it's a big game. It's your really first meaningful varsity. I don't want to say minutes because last year you played. But, tonight they kind of leaned on you at times. You got your first start, right? First career start. And, there's a couple times you kind of went in out of control, 1 or 2 times. But for the majority of the night, you played heady and you played hard. You did score some points. You were the most consistent scorer throughout the four quarters.
5-6 steals too.
Yep, and so congratulations to you and your team. It wasn't the prettiest of wins, certainly, but it was a hard-fought win from a tough Clyde team.
Yep. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you watch any of our podcasts or see any of our shows, but we got Minders #1 in our preseason power rankings. We predict Minders to win the Tough Finger Lakes East this year, and from what I saw from you guys tonight, it leaves a little question open, as to if you're going to be able to pull through and compete every night. What do you guys have to do this year? What do you have to do different that you didn't do tonight to win the Finger Lakes East this year?
Focus was off at times, so we just got to keep our heads in it and just make smart plays, not turn the ball over so many times.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who the leader of the team is, and maybe that's not established yet. I'm not sure what it's like in the locker room or with the coaching staff. You got one senior that's getting minutes. It's not Todd. But Cafola's out there, and he gets down on himself real easy. If he misses a shot, so it's got to the leadership's got to come from somebody else. And then maybe it's a leadership by committee, but. As of right now, what's the leadership role like? On the team, is a true leader been established, or is there multiple leaders?
We have two captains, Robbie and Ben. But
Bachman's a senior, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't have to be a captain to be a leader. It can be anybody.
Sure, certainly. Yeah, that's right. And maybe it's different guys on different nights, but I think that's one of the things I'm looking at as a question mark for the team. Like who's going to lead this team, throughout the year. And what happens when Mean gets in foul trouble? Because when he got in foul trouble tonight, you guys didn't rebound as well, and you don't defend as well. He's a key component for sure. So, what are your thoughts on playing in the big stage in front of Clyde tonight? Were you thinking about that, or were you just going out trying to do your best to win the game?
Do your best every time. Play hard.
Now, talk about the sophomores that came up, Devin Anderson, Kellen Caraher. We thought we'd see them both tonight. They both played extended minutes and both played really well. Talk about those two guys added to the team this year.
It's great because we have more practice players this year. We have two kids that always compete, very hard workers, and it's good.
Tell me about that. Can Bachman and Caraher and Anderson and those guys, can they challenge you guys as the first team in practice? It's got to be pretty competitive scrimmage time.
Absolutely.
That's what I think. We were talking about North Rose as being a team that will be in the upper echelon of your classification. And they don't have a very deep bench or a full team to even scrimmage with each other. And, I think what you guys have is talent that can come at you every day in practice and make you a better team.
Well, Jake, I want to...
You let that one hang a little bit there, Jake.
Look at that. That's not like normally Jake Jones. He doesn't showboat like that, does
You got to let it hang once in a while, right, when you're feeling it?
Just feeling it.
Well, Jake, congratulations on a great opening win. You're 1-0. We'll see you again in Geneva on December 8th when you take on the Panthers. Did you get a chance to see any of the other games today?
Yeah, I was actually watching the podcast.
You watched the webcast of the Geneva game?
Yep.
What did you think of the Panthers?
It's a little sloppy at times.
Yeah, early season you're going to see that. Then Mid Lakes and other Finger Lakes East team looked pretty good in their win against Lions.
Yeah, how much the Mid Lakes game you see?
Last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, they played pretty good tonight.
Yeah.
So, exciting season on tap. Jake, congratulations.
Thank you.
Way to go. Good job on the win.
Jake, we got you. Sorry, Jim, but we got you ranked #1 down in the Finger Lakes. We, as a staff, not everybody was on board with the #1, but you've already revealed my vote.
He picked Newark.
I did. And where do you see yourselves in the Wayne Finger Lakes this year?
Doesn't matter to me. You just got to go out and play.
Good answer.
All right,
Good answer.
fair enough.
I was trying to put him on the spot, but he didn't want to.
So there you go, Jake Jones after a fantastic game, leading the Blue Devils to their 1-0 record start the season. And we're underway, fellas. There's also a lot of other action across the league this week. Not a lot, but enough. It got kicked off. Romulus lost to Port Byron 79-27 on Monday. And then on Tuesday, Bloomfield lost to School of the Arts. Wyatt Conklin had 28 and Hayden Ward had 20. And Christian Simmons for School of the Arts, a team that a lot of Wayne Finger Lakes teams see, throughout the seasons because they need to schedule. Christian Simmons, 45 points, new school record. Red Creek was in action against Hannibal out of Section 3, beat them 45-36. And, hey, we were worried a little bit about Jake Slobe heading out. Looks like they're going to get scoring from Nick Klein, who had 32, and he's the brother of Griffin Klein, another guy who graduated last year. But Nick Klein, kind of a Jake Slobe protege. I remember when we talked to them post game last year. Nick was like, I look up to Jake. I look up his work ethic. I try to do what he does, and it's really paying off. And then Big Willie Meyer pulling down 12 boards in that win. So
I think they're going to need to get a little bit more balanced. He had 32 of their 45. Not going to win too many games that way, probably.
Yeah, right. So Red Creek off to their league title defense with a win. And then we got Friday night, Red Jacket beat Warsaw 52-41. Sean Sheets, or Dan Brown had 14 points. Sean Sheets with 5 steals. And then, of course, we had the games at the Chiropractic College, but there was also a game across town, which I almost feel like this game should have been at the Chiropractic
you missed
College.
the Romulus game, too.
Oh, yeah. Port Byron beat Romulus 79-27. Bloomfield and Waterloo played, and that should have been the 5th game at the college almost, I would think. But they played in Waterloo, and Waterloo impressive 72-52 win. Conklin for Bloomfield had 17 points and 10 rebounds, and Hayden Ward had 14 again for the Bombers there. But Waterloo, Big Ben Deming, 18 points, 10 rebounds. The Sheriff, Nick Stenberg, with 16 points and 6 rebounds. And a good start, guys, for Waterloo, a team that has just as much talent as probably anybody in the East, and we just want to see if they can put it together. I mean, there's no reason to think that they can't win the East.
Yeah, they got a very good big man, obviously, in Deming, and they just need to get good guard play from Dikembe Ayers and Mateo. Stenberg is, he likes to get the ball and drive it hard to the basket. He gets to the line a lot. They got a lot of pieces, a lot of guys who've been there for 3-4 years now on this team, and if they're going to do something, this is their year. They got a lot of seniors on this team, a lot of guys who've been playing varsity for a number of years. So, new coach and, maybe a fresh start, fresh attitudes. Maybe, they can finally put it together this year.
Yeah, and a 1-0 start. Also, guys, we have Wayne in action against Greece Olympia. Came out with a 52-22 victory. Braden Zenilovich with 12 points to lead the Eagles there. And then Red Jack in the second game of that tournament in Warsaw lost to Pembroke in a close one, 43-41. Sean Sheets had 15 there. So Red Jacket starts their season at 1-1. And coming up this week on Monday, Minder's back in action. Hosting Early College. Yeah. That'll be a nice test.
We have a big test tomorrow.
Look forward to heading to Arthur L. Baker for that one. That's a 6 o'clock start. Waterloo opening up their league schedule against Penn Yan at Penn Yan. Destiny Christian will be at Honeoye. Jasper Troutsburg at Naples. Red Creek at Cato Meridian, another Section 3 team that they're playing up there in the northeastern quadrant of Wayne County, Cayuga County. Then on Tuesday, RCMCS at Palmac. That'll be a great one. And Mid-Lakes at Bath Haverling. Gananda at Marion. Number 3, North Wolcott at number 8, Clyde Savannah. 3 o'clock start on Tuesday, December 1st for some reason. Red Creek at...
How is that possible?
Yeah, I don't get it. But that's what it's listed as on the Section 5 site. Red Creek at Lions. That game will be on Finger Lakes 1 Sports. And so if that is a 3 o'clock start, maybe we can go watch that game, then head over and then broadcast that Lions Red Creek game. Williamson at East Rochester, World of Inquiry at Sodus, and then Wednesday, Bloomfield at Dundee, HAC at Honeoye. Marcus Whitman at Naples, huge early season FL West battle, Red Jacket at Romulus. Thursday night, Newark versus Wilson in Victor. That's a Victor tournament. We were there last year. We won't be there this year. Geneva at Victor. And then Minders taking on Rochester Academy on the road. And East Rochester at Lions. First look at East Rochester. North Rose Wolcott at Red Creek in a huge rivalry game, and Sodus at Williamson. So a lot of great games on tap. I mean, the season's fully underway here. So a couple things to take care of here before we head out. First off is going to be our All Wayne Finger Lakes preseason awards. And this is a very difficult thing to do because, especially this year, there's not too many real super standouts that separate themselves. There's a lot of great, solid talent. And after a lot of discussion, we're going Player of the Year preseason. It's Tyler Norris from North Rose Wolcott, edging out a couple other guys that are on our first team here. But Tyler probably the one player that when you watch play, you're like, he's
Real deal.
definitely, and a great attitude and approach to the game as well. So congratulations, Tyler. We'll see if he's our postseason. That's the one that really matters. First team, we've got Damian Wright out of Pelmac. We've got Marquand Ross, senior Geneva. Didn't have a great game at the college, but we expect him to bounce back. Kenny DeVay, real solid contributor for Mid Lakes. Ben Deming, probably the runner-up for Player of the Year. Without a doubt, the best big man in the Wayne Finger Lakes. Brad Stone, another great big man out of Marcus Whitman. Second team, we've got Adam Van Buskirk out of Lions, who was held pretty quiet by Mid Lakes in that opener, but he's going to do a lot of scoring for Lions and really proved he can hit a lot of big shots during Lions' postseason run. Derek Chance, a sophomore at Clyde Savannah. Andrew Fleischman, Naples, one of the best three-point shooters that you'll see in the Wayne Finger Lakes. Garrett Hoyt, the senior power forward for North Rose Wolcott. And Lincoln Backman Lowe, I should say. I got to pronounce that right. Out of South Seneca. We heard from him earlier. That brings up the third team. Nick Klein, junior point guard at Red Creek. Jose Santel, senior at Newark. Darren Carswell, Mid Lakes. Wyatt Conklin at Bloomfield. And Taylor Clements, the big man, sophomore for Newark. Some honorable mentions here. We got Connor Pendleton, Jake Mean at Minders, Tyler Tyson at Geneva, Brandon Hawkins at Penn Yan, Andrew Clark Dundee, Jake Soliday Honeoy, Jamar McCall Geneva, Kellen McDermott East Rochester, Austin Fingar and Sean Emerson at Penn Yan, Jarrett Murray from Clyde, Kyle Bailey from Waterloo, Willie Meyer, Red Creek, Justin Hoover at Mid Lakes, Terry Rogers, Wayne, Zach Dormer at Naples, Gavin McComiskey, Marcus Whitman, Greg Coe, Sodus, Mike Phelps, Marion, and Jamar Paisley, HAC. So I don't really want to congratulate any of these guys on the preseason because it's kind of just a projection. So if some of those names appear on our postseason, we'll offer our congratulations then. So last thing we got to take care of here today, fellas, is our power rankings. There's been some action, so there's been some movement. And let me get this up on the screen here. We've got, I'm just going to go ahead and post it here. Minders staying at number one. A lot of discussion about that, thinking that maybe they didn't play well enough against Clyde to retain that number one spot, and that maybe North Rose Wolcott or Pelmac. Actually, of the top four teams, each had 2 first-place votes this week. Minders, Pelmac, North Rose, and Newark, who we haven't seen in action yet. And then Waterloo stays at 5. Whitman jumps over Geneva after their loss. Geneva drops 1 to 7. Mid Lakes jumps right up into the top 10. Really impressed with their performance. Again, some mixed feelings on there if that performance was indicative of them being a top 10 team. But for this week, there they are at number 8. Naples at 9, and Penn Yan debuts at 10 with Lions and Clyde dropping out. And tough time dropping Clyde out, losing to the number one team, and actually playing them pretty tough. But, hey, this is a thing that'll change week to week.
Call it as you see it.
Yeah, especially early season, there'll be a lot of changes in our power rankings. So there you go. Minders 1, Pelmac 2, North Rose Wolcott 3, Newark 4, Waterloo 5, Marcus Whitman 6, Geneva 7, Mid Lakes 8, Naples 9, and Penn Yan 10. And also receiving votes this week, Clyde Savannah was the first team out. Red Creek tied with Clyde Savannah, actually, point-wise. And then Lions, East Rochester, and Dundee also receiving votes. And so I know we've talked about wanting to get the girls Super 6 underway, but we're going to hold off until we get a little more action, get an accurate
this week.
Accurate rank. Finally
week.
Getting started. So we'll debut the Super 6 hopefully next week as soon as we can get a gauge on things and talk to some coaches. So what else do we have here? We want to talk about our upcoming webcasts. We will be in Lions on Tuesday night, December 1st. That's this coming Tuesday for a Wayne County opener against Red Creek. And then a week from that Tuesday, on Tuesday, December 8th, we're heading to Newark for a Finger Lakes East battle between Penn Yan and Newark. And then it's varsity night in Geneva on the very next night, Wednesday, December 9th, a doubleheader with Minders girls, boys, against Geneva in Geneva. So we'll be up in the weight room calling that one, and we hope you'll be along for that one. Certainly a lot of you were yesterday. We had just shy of 1,000 total viewers for our quadruple header. And it's exciting because every year our viewership increases. Some of it's because of just word getting around. Some of it's because of the technology. Like the first year, you couldn't watch it on your phone. Now I think like half of those views come from people watching it on their phone. And I also got a lot of reports or texts from people who are like, hey, I'm watching this on my 52-inch. It looks great. So people are getting more used to how easy it is, or there's more devices, whether it's an Xbox or a PlayStation or a Chromecast or a Roku or Apple TV, to actually sit back on their couch and watch these games. And that's what's exciting to me. I really wish it was as simple as picking up your remote and turning it from ESPN to Finger Lakes One TV, because I think when the technology gets to that point that a lot of people will choose Minders Clyde game over Oklahoma State versus Kansas, you know.
Yeah.
So exciting. Thanks everybody for watching. And any parting shots, fellas, before we head out of here on a Sunday?
Just looking forward to it. It's great to kick the season off this past weekend. Obviously, you had a busy weekend being there all day yesterday and getting things ready for us to come in here today. So, obviously that's appreciated, and look forward to the girls starting up and getting into more action next week.
And Verk, you're calling that game with Dave Barnick, so it'll be good to get Dave back in action at Lions Red Creek. It'll be Verkey and Barnick. Mike?
Great job, Jimmy. That's all I can say. Great group of guys, and, you hear there's a buzz about, what we do and the games we play and the commentary, so it's a neat thing, and not only from the people from Seneca Falls, because we're from Seneca Falls, but you see coaches out there talking about it. Havrilla was there yesterday, and everybody's in tune with what we get.
Saw Tyler Collins and Ed Collins in the crowd.
Ed Collins, yep, and
the general Joe Spazzato.
Yeah,
the general was there. I think all day long.
Yeah,
so it's a great thing.
Yeah, and I gotta thank our team. There was actually 11 of us in action at some point during the whole day yesterday, so that's a pretty big group of guys that we had to pull off those webcasts. And at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and it's we're really excited just to get a look at some of these teams this year. So
that's without our new statistician too coming on board.
That's right. Mike's trying to convince my wife to do the stats. I told him it's probably a losing battle there, but somebody's got to stay home with our daughter while I'm out in these high school gyms. So although I was happy to see my daughter there with Verk and his daughters, they're good friends, and they came out for the Minders game. So that's part of being a part of the community in the winter around here. I think is heading out to the gyms and supporting your team. So, well, I tell you, we're gonna keep on going along. Tuesday night we're in Lions. We'll be back here next Sunday, and then games on Tuesday, Wednesday. So hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with us for a little bit of an extended edition of the Upstate Hoops podcast on Finger Lakes One TV, and we'll be back next week. See you then.